Splitting data over multiple sheets is perhaps one of the worst things you can do in Excel, and it's bad because it makes it really difficult to analyze and summarize this data in one place, and it's impossible to create a pivot table from it. Fortunately, with Power Query, we can easily consolidate all of this data into one table, which we can then use in all of our analysis. The data on all of my sheets is formatted in an Excel table, and this makes it easy for Power Query to grab it. Now you could just as easily give that data a named range, and that will also be easy for Power Query to find. If we look at the table tools, you'll notice that the name of each of these tables is prefixed with orders, and that also helps me filter out the data that I don't want, because on this other stuff sheet, which really just represents another sheet in the file, which we typically have, I've also got a table here. Now I've named this total orders, so it's got a different nomenclature to the other sheets that have the source data for each of my salespeople, and that's what this data represents, just order data or sales data split out by salesperson. And the other stuff sheet, I've just got a summary table here and some other text on it, just to represent a typical file. So let's go ahead and grab the data off these sheets with Power Query. I'm in Excel 2016 or Office 365, so for me, Power Query is on the Data tab. If you have Excel 2010 or 2013, then you're going to have your own Power Query tab on the ribbon, and if you don't have it there, then you can download Power Query. It's a free add-in. So for me, I'm going to go Data, Get Data from Other Sources, and then right down at the bottom, I just want to open a blank query. So this opens the Power Query editor, and this is the same in all versions of Excel. Once you open it up, it's going to look the same. And all I need to do is type in the formula bar where my cursor is by default, the function excel.current workbook. And be careful because Power Query functions are case sensitive, so notice I've got a capital C, a capital W, and obviously a capital E for Excel. So now all I need to do is press enter, and Power Query goes away and it gets a list of all the tables, and if I had any named ranges, it would also list them here. Now this is where the naming of the tables that contain my source data is important, because what I want to do is filter out any tables that don't have a name that begins with orders, because those are going to be tables I don't want to consolidate. So I can click on the drop down for the filter and then go Text Filters, Begins With, and I want here all tables that begin with orders. So in the field here, simply type in orders. And this is going to exclude the total orders, but if I add any new tables for, say, new salespeople, I'm going to also name them orders and then the salesperson's name. And by filtering for all tables that begin with orders, I'll automatically include any new tables. So I'll click OK. Now we have the tables I want to consolidate. I click on the content, double-headed arrow. I want to expand. I want to expand all the columns, and I don't want to use the original column name as prefix because that original column name is content. So I don't want to name my columns content.country, content.salesperson. I'm going to deselect that. It says my list may be incomplete. It's not, but I'll click that anyway. If you have lots and lots of columns, it might only show you an extract here. Anyhow, that's all of my columns. I'm going to click OK. Power Query has gone away and it's grabbed the data for each of the sheets out of each table. It's excluded the headers. It's only kept one of the headers and it's made that the header row. This column here represents the table name. So you might want to keep that. It might have some information in there that helps you identify this data. I don't need to keep the table name. I already have the salesperson name here. So I'm just going to, with it selected, press the delete key and it's gone. Now the last thing I want to do is format the data types for each column. At the moment this is showing me date and time, but I don't really have a time element, which is why they all say 12 AM. So clicking on the icon in the top left of the column, I'm just going to choose date. Now this is not formatting, it's just setting data types. If you're going to put your data into Power Pivot, then you need to set the data types. And if you're just putting it into Excel, well, that's going to help Excel identify what type of data you have. And if it can apply any formatting like date formats, then it will do so. But just bear in mind that this is not really where you've formatted. It's a data type. Now these two are text, so I've held down Shift to select both, and I'm going to set the data type to both of them. Up here, text. This is a whole number, so let's set that as a whole number. And we'll make this one a currency. Now, notice it doesn't put the currency symbol in, it's just putting the currency icon there because that's the data type icon. So the last thing we want to do is give this query a name. Let's call this all orders. Notice that I didn't start the name with orders. If I started the name with orders, then this table, when I load it into Excel, would be included in this query and I'd end up double counting my data. And one last thing I want to point out is in this applied steps list here, it's recorded each of the steps that I've taken. So I filtered the rows to exclude all the tables that didn't start with orders. I expanded the content so I got it all consolidated in one list. I removed the column that had the table name and I set the type for each column. And that means next time I want to update or refresh this query, maybe I get new data added to my tables, I don't need to go through these steps again. It's a bit like a macro recorder. It's remembering what I've told it to do and it will just do that next time I refresh it. So we're ready to close and load. I'm going to click on the drop down and choose close and load to. It's just going to give me some more options about where I load the data. I'm using Excel 2016, Office 365, so I have the option to create a pivot table report or a pivot chart directly from this query data. If you have earlier versions of Excel, you won't have these options. I'm going to just put it into a table in a new worksheet. Add to the data model is powerpivot, and this option is available in Excel 2013 onward. I'm going to leave it in the new worksheet so we can actually see the data in the file. I'll click OK. It's going to add a new sheet for me, and you'll notice that my table is in a different color. That just helps me identify that it's a query as opposed to the original source data. You can see the original tables are still there. It hasn't altered them at all. All it's done is take a copy of the data, put it in a new table for me, and now I can go ahead and create a pivot table from it. I can use my SUMIFs and COUNTIFs and all of those functions that were designed to work with tabular data. And if I go and change the data in any way, let's say we want to change Buxton sales to 1,000 for this date here, I can go back to my consolidated data. There's my line for Buxton. I'll click on the refresh icon here, and now Buxton is updated. And likewise, if I were to add any data to these tables, all I would have to do is come to my query and refresh it. So that is a quick and easy way to get data that's spread across multiple sheets, put it into one table as it should be so you can work with it easily in Excel.